Hello, welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Meat Suit. This particular adventure is part 2 of the Abracadabra code with Juicy and Lucy. Hello, Juicy and Lucy.
Hi.
So, well, you know, this is my new Saturday night, talking to you two.
And I tell you what, I love these Saturday nights because you've only got to clear about 8 foot of the room. This Zoom is awesome because, like, you clear 8 foot of the room and you can leave the rest of the house as shit head. But when you used to invite people around, you have to clean the whole fucking house. So I like in this.
So we're starting as we left off last time then. Yeah, did you read all the comments from the first?
Absolutely awesome. Thank everybody for all of that.
Amazing.
Absolutely awesome.
So lovely to read.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't believe how many people have watched it.
It's amazing how people have picked up on the humour and realised there's so much humour missing.
Well, you know, that's been like a theme of this week for me. The lack of, you know, I've started doing. Have you watched any of my Dear God sketches?
Yes.
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 Yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Just because I think it's really important to try and make people laugh, even if it's only me.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I can entertain myself all the time. I don't give a fuck about anybody else. I just entertain myself.
Well, I think that's the mantra.
Did you watch the Donald Trump thing after we had that conversation? That live Donald Trump
last Saturday
night. He did the thing. I forget where he was.
Oh, I think I did.
Absolute comedy genius.
Yeah, brilliant.
It was like watching a stand-up.
Yeah,
he was such on a mission.
Mission. I mean,
is that the one where he said? Is that the one where he said, "Joe's shot. Joe's gone. He's a gonzo. He's a gonzo."
He makes Hillary Clinton look like an amateur.
Yeah, I mean,
he was on top form.
And one thing that caught my attention, I don't even know where it come from. And he's talking about the wall and everything else. And he said, "All you need when you come back next time is a wall and a wheel." Yeah? Right? And I looked at our walls because we've got all these obviously
these
drawings on the wall and the wheels. And when he said, "All you need is a wall and a wheel," I was like, "Oh my God." It's like, really?
Well,
such a random thing to say.
Well, is it though? You know,
no, not really. Not really.
I mean, look, there were a couple of comments that were like, "Oh, this is just nonsense," and there was another guy who was like, "I want to bring this one up actually because I didn't quite understand this." You know, when we were talking about pH being 5.5, half of 11, and then he said, "Well, it's 14. It should be 7." Then one of you sent me a message saying, "It just fucking works." So, what is the answer to that one?
Well, because what I did say was this clock is empty. There's no formats in it. It's an empty clock with no symbols or anything in it. So what I did was I put the 7. I don't know if you got the picture. I'll put the 7s and how the 7s work. Yeah, and how the 7s work and balance out. So yeah, it's just their format, but the actual. The 5.5 is a balance. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
So just to explain, this is the PDF that accompanies part 1. I've put this together. This is the Word version. So I've cut that. This is the front cover, just so you understand.
Yeah.
And then down here, I've done an introduction, and then down here, I'm going to come back to that in a second. What you're talking about, I'm putting a load of messages here because I think they're really interesting. But this is So this is what we're referring to, right?
This is what we're referring to. And
the Abracadabra is 11 letters, and the 5.5 is the balance.
Is the balance of the 11.
Yeah,
which is 22, because that configuration of symbols, which is Abracadabra, has always been with that clock. They work in conjunction with each other because the format of them. It's the only word that actually formats into it with the A points. So obviously you've got the cal in the middle, which is your H. So if you look down the page, you see in orange, the H is coming down. And then that locks all your prefixes in of your X's coming back out again.
Okay.
So then all in orange that come down there, they're the H's. So obviously they're the H's of each one of the X's. So it locks it together so it can't fall out of place. It actually makes it rock solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is a sphere as well, let's not forget.
What, sorry?
This is actually representing a sphere, isn't it?
It's a sphere. Yeah, you can take it from the top, you can take it from the bottom, you can take it from the sides. It's actually it's a sphere. It's which is where everything all is. It's like literally our head's a sphere, you know, and this is how what's in your head and how it actually works. And the 8s are a symbol of the magnetism.
Okay, yeah, because I was discussing magnetism earlier today. I was outside with my son about 20 minutes ago, and we spotted a UFO within about 5 seconds.
Wow.
And it was zigzag. I always see them. It was zigzagging and then disappeared.
Yeah.
Quickly. And then I think he mentioned gravity to me, and I said, well, gravity doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
It's magnetism.
It's magnetism.
Magnetism is the missing link.
Yeah, and I prove this on site. When I'm on site, I say to people, it doesn't make sense. I get a hammer and I get a bit of wood, and I drop them at the same time, and they both hit the deck at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So you think with density, one would hit the floor quicker than the other, but it doesn't.
Yeah, exactly.
They actually hit the deck. One probably weighs 20 times more than a bit of wood, and if you drop them, bang, they hit the floor at the same time.
Well, I do remember something in my O-level physics that kind of countered that argument, but then I did leave my physics at school when my teacher turned around to me and said, "You can't say that, Mark." And I said, "Why not?" She said, "Because it's not in the book." And I went, "Oh, piss off," and I walked out, and that was the end.
Exactly.
That was the end of my physics career. I never bought into it.
It's a pay grade.
Yeah.
Let's just rewind a little bit, because we're going to, a lot of the comments were grateful that I slowed you down last time.
Yeah, I blame that on the juice, but we'll get to that another time.
Yeah, well, the juice is important to talk about, but
yeah.
It's fine. It's great, because it's like, if I don't understand it, nobody else is going to understand it. But
yeah, exactly.
What I was really surprised about was how many people resonated with it and felt like they got a lot from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it starts you thinking about different things, it opens your brain to sort of looking at other things all the time. It's like I've always said, people that do crosswords, you're trapped within a box and only one thing fits. Yeah, it traps the brain. So crosswords are a symbol of literally everything we're all sort of like stuck in. It's a box, only one word fits, and that word don't fit into that one, and you can't get out of the box. You can't put anything else in there. Well,
I never liked crosswords for that reason.
No.
Yeah.
It
just causes frustration.
Yeah, frustration, angriness, and everything else. It's just
people I know that love them are extremely left-brained people.
Yeah, and it's all a lot of nonsense as well, because you can't, you're trapped in that box. But this, you can look at all sort of like avenues, and everybody's got sort of like can go in there and go, that's relevant to me, that's relevant to me, that's relevant to me, blah blah blah. Because the word abracadabra, I mean, that symbols or that word, we can take back what 400,000 years back to Sanskrit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've always spoke English.
Well, I think you've said this before. Like when the source energy created the universe, English was part of that.
Yeah. Or the way I see it, or the way that what we've been dealing with, English is an energy.
Well, all language is energy.
Yeah. But the English is the energy that creates everything. It's a very powerful sort of like energy, and it's got so many codes and colours and everything all in there. And so English is an energy, and it's the English that's created
very
everything.
Powerful energy.
Yeah, really powerful. And there's all different types of energies. There's one energy that you can build things with. It's like as strong as you like, and literally it's like if you give it a jiggle, it goes absolutely solid, and then if you give it another jiggle, it just goes to nothing. It's like ding. Yeah, it's like wow. But there's all different types of energies. I mean, when we've been sort of like creating things or part of something, we've not just been doing it for ourselves. We're just part of everybody. We're all one, and we're the mouthpiece, and we're the ones that have got this particular job. You love Shakespeare, pound to a penny. That's who you were. You was part of that. Anything that people loved before or got a passion.
What makes you think I love Shakespeare?
I remember you were saying about the writing. Well,
I don't. Yeah, I love. I mean,
not Shakespeare, but the actual writing.
Yeah, the writing is deeply meta.
Yeah,
it's metaphysical. Yeah. It's meta. And it has the works of Shakespeare. Whether I don't think Shakespeare.
It's not Shakespeare. It's probably yourself.
Yeah,
we've all been, and it's your passion.
Wow. I mean? So I'm not comparing anybody watching this. I'm not comparing myself to Shakespeare in any way.
No, well, we would do compared to what we write.
Yeah, definitely.
But
the rumor is that Shakespeare was a drunken actor, and I was one of them 20 years ago. So
well, there you go. The shoes fit.
And just by the way, you see this water I'm drinking?
Yeah.
This was a beautiful synchronicity this week. I was driving from. It was some people that I'd not heard from for a while, and they rang me. I thought about them as I got in the car, and I've not thought about them for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Then I went to see the chiropractor because I've had a really bad back all week, which is another story. And then as soon as I got in the car after the chiropractor, they rang me up. This guy's a farmer who's sat. His land is sat on a lake of sulfur water.
Wow.
And he took. This is just a little story, but this is that sulfur water, right? Now this water was used by the locals for thousands of years as a place to heal.
Yeah.
They go there and they heal there.
Like Leamington Spa and places like that.
Right, and they use it as a hospital and everything else. But then 100 years ago, it all got kind of wiped out of existence in terms of what it was. And then they just turned to farming cows. And he took me to the well. And as I was walking to the well, I went past a fairy fort. There's lots of those around here. And honestly, the buzz I was getting was unbelievable. It was like I'd been plugged in.
Yeah.
And I was buzzing. And I said, well, how did you choose this spot to dig the well? And he said, I got a diviner.
Oh yeah.
And I was like,
wow.
And I said, well, he said, you'd love him. He lives down the road, and he lives in a castle that was one of the Templars' castles. And I was like, what? So this guy, I'm planning to make a documentary with that. I'm going to find this guy and go out, do a bit of divining with him, because the other thing is I was out by the lake today, and one of my friends showed me the spot where there's a portal to inner earth.
Yeah.
And it's literally like 200 yards away from where I was stood. And so anyway.
Wow.
Have you ever done divining? Does work. I've used those.
I know.
When I used to work in the heritage game, and we used to have to dig like soakaways or whatever, we used to go looking for graves with it.
Interesting. Why?
Yeah.
Why would it?
Yeah. Well, what it was, when you hold them in your hand and you're looking for a cut in the ground, sediment always lies, because obviously you've got iron deposits in it, so it always naturally lies north south. Yeah. So what happens is when you cut through like a grave or a hole, and then you fill it back in again, it interferes with the Earth's activity. It's all over the place. The north and south are all over the place.
Back to magnetism, right?
Yeah, back to magnetism. So actually, when you hold them in your hand, and as you walk to where the cut is, it throws it out and crosses it. So you can peg an old grave out easy, and you can pace it to 6 foot or whatever wide, and peg it out to know where they are. Yeah, so it works.
Right. So where did we get to last time? Did we get?
I think we got to A.
What, the first day? Is that
yeah, I think we got to the first day.
Well, A is a good place to start today. So
yeah. Well, if we give a quick rundown of how you get out of the clock.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Right. So what you do is you've got your abracadabra. Yeah. So you've got to split that word evenly around the clock. Yeah.
Sorry, before you carry on, I'm just going to point out there's a link below this video where we did a PDF of your diagrams, but then when I was putting it together, I was like, these messages between us guys are actually full of really interesting information. So I put all the messages in, and you put in some other pictures. So that PDF link is below this video if anybody wants it. That's to accompany part 1 and a bit of part 2, and then there'll probably be some more in part 3, 4, however long it takes us to get through.
I've got no idea really.
No, me neither. We're making this up as we go along.
If you realise that the sort of like the time we spend here to the time that we're actually out there, it equates to like bonkers time. So when we're here, yeah, it's sort of like a week and a half here can be millions of years when you're doing stuff out there. The equations are unbelievable.
Wow.
That's why people are tired. Was tired all the time, because this is our part-time job. We're out there doing stuff.
I've been kipping like nobody's business the last 3 months, especially in the last week.
Yeah.
All these pains and I did a video with JCK about, I called it ascension interference. It's like and that was amazing as well, because then loads of people commented exactly the same thing.
Watch that one. And everybody I work with, everybody that's around me, all going through the same thing, except a couple. And I was like, oh, maybe you should have that. If you know what I mean? Because like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah.
Right. So what's interesting about doing this, and we're going to get back to anybody watching this. Sorry to go off on tangents, but we're just sort of establishing our energy levels, I suppose. And we're going to get to A, and we're going to start working through this clock. And I've forgotten what I was going to say then. So let's get back to A.
Right, A. Right, A is always a start point. It's a center point. A is absolutely everything. A day, a second, a minute, a day. It's a start point of something. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you can see abracadabra, the whole word, it's the only word I've ever found or shot out of it that balances. So you've got the A in the middle and you've got the A at both ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then obviously you've got the A, you've got the A just in as well. So you've got all them sections of A. So basically you can break that word up. It's like most continents around the world are beginning A and ending A.
Yeah, Asia, America.
Yeah, Asia, Antarctica, blah, blah.
I've never thought of that. Well, yeah. Europe, that's not two A's.
No.
No, it's not, no. But they're not real anyway, are they really?
No, good point.
But yeah, so a lot of the old continents, yeah, the beginning A and ending A. And what it does, it locks the word in between. So it actually locks the word in. America, blah, blah. So it actually, all the old continents, it's locked in and it keeps the word together. You can't split the word up. Okay. Prefixes on both sides. So this is the same. You've got prefixes on both sides, which locks the word in together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it forces you into a center point. Obviously, you've got 11 letters in that. So split 11 evenly is 5.5.
Yeah.
Which is also spun around, which is 22, because it's even from and even to each other. Yeah. Because this all works on single parallels and double parallels.
Okay. So, I don't know what that means.
Okay. So on a single parallel is where the story is, the energy of the story. So that's like in energy mode. The double parallel, because you double the parallels together and it makes it feel real. It makes it like feel solid and it locks the two together so they can't separate.
So in terms of our existence, we're talking about the fact that we are literally frequency and energy, but the other, the double parallel is the thing that makes
it makes it feel real.
Yeah.
It puts a solid into the story, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we write stories, or when the energy writes stories to get to a particular step in and step out point. So you step in to a story and you step out to a story. It's got to be the same point.
I'm still here, by the way.
Oh, okay. I thought it was me pinched him. I thought we'd done him. We left you on the wrong.
I'm still here. I'm still here.
Yeah. So if you look in history, yeah, every civilization has come to a grinding halt, and there's always been like a big die-off, tragedy, floods, disease, and everything else. It's a standard epic end to each civilization. And then within each civilization, no history follows through from one to another.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because we're at this point now where we've got this pandemic and blah, 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 and it fits what happened in Egypt with the disease and everything else. It fits with the Incas, blah, blah, the Greeks. And all these things are all timelines of like a parallel to when one comes to an end. Yeah. It always ends up with a disease or whatever. What it is, it's one parallel opening and one parallel closing. That's why none of the history travels all the way through. So the way I see it is, when the energies start the story, you need your end point. So the energy writes the story of what we need to do to get to a particular point. Yeah. So that's like the expanding future is calculating what we need to do to step from one parallel to another. Yeah.
Does the hero's journey come into this? I don't know if we touched upon that last time.
Hero's journey. I remember we talked about that, but I couldn't tell you.
So there was a guy in the 1930s called Campbell. I've forgotten his first name. I can't remember his first name. But anyway, he wrote a book called The Hero of a Thousand Faces. And in that book, he dissected all of the stories, ancient stories that had resonated throughout history, and all the storytellers in indigenous populations tell these stories that resonate throughout time.
Yeah.
And they all follow exactly the same pattern. And I think I did mention this last time. Joseph Campbell, yeah, that's the guy. and Star Wars follows that. The story of Jesus follows that. Everything follows that.
Yeah, it's all the same sequences all the time. So
you're saying that the energy, as the story unfolds, follows this pattern.
Follows the pattern.
Because
yeah.
there are, a lot of people, most people watching this probably know that we're at the end of a 26,000 and something year cycle.
Yeah.
And this, the hero's journey thing works on a universal macro level, but also on a microscopic and quantum level. So our cells follow the hero's journey, our lives follow the hero's journey, our civilization follows the hero's journey, so do the planets, so does the whole universe.
Yeah.
And the weird thing about it is this last one that we're in now, there's no relevance to time or space or calendars or anything else in this last sequence.
In which sequence are you talking
about? The sequence we're in now.
The pandemic and all that.
Yeah, well, this sequence of this parallel we're in now is of this sort of like where we are, where we've come from. There's nothing relevant to stars, space, whatever. Where all the other ancient sort of civilizations had all the codes for where the planets were, this, that, everything else. The Egyptians did, and everything else. This is the only one where we haven't got any signs of who we really are and how it really works.
Is this why it feels like we're in limbo? It feels like
we've been put in to find a way out,
right? Because
it's fragmented history. Because obviously, what this is, it's fragmented. We've fragmented it, but it's not sort of like. You've got Stonehenge that was all related to the stars, sequences, and everything else, and all what was there. You got the Incas, you got all the history, and if you look at all them histories of all them civilizations, ancient Greeks and everybody else, they all had that relevance to the stars and solar systems around them.
There's also I get that, and there's also this concept that when you observe things, they change, which is a quantum physics thing.
Yeah.
But also that when you think about your life in the present moment, you are at the same time, you're not only creating that present moment and your future, but you're also writing your entire history. So if you look at a car engine, you are creating the history of that car engine as you're looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everything's car engines, they've got codes, they've got sequences. It's like even snowflakes, they're all six-sided.
Yeah.
And they're all symmetrical.
Yeah.
That's right. I've seen literally every raindrop's got a code in it.
This actually brings up. Have you seen the Japanese professor Emoto's book of water, where he took photographs of water in different emotional states? Have you ever seen that?
I'm not too sure.
You know what? I've seen it with frequency, with music and sound.
Well, no. Well, the reason I'm bringing it, that's cymatics, which is another subject. But this guy. He took a jar of water and he'd sit it down next to like a Hitler speech, right?
Yeah.
And then he'd take another jar of water and play Mozart to it, and then he'd freeze them and then take molecular pictures of the crystalline structure of the water.
Yes, yeah.
And the one that had the harmonic, beautiful frequency played to it was like a perfect snowflake. Yet the other one, which had the hatred and the negativity and everything else, was like this brown, melted, horrible, like the witch in The Wizard of Oz when she's "I'm melting." It was like that.
Yeah.
And it's I've always found that extremely powerful. And when I think of the 20th century, and I talked about this in the last episode, I think of all these negative frequencies that have distorted the pattern of the harmonic frequency of life on a microscopic and a macro level, such as vaccines, GM foods, and all of that nonsense, right?
Yeah, TV
programs. I mean, come on.
And they're all designed to mess with the frequency. So what?
Doom and gloom. Yeah.
Doom and gloom. I mean,
Exactly.
you watch.
100%.
Yeah.
When we're looking at the abracadabra diagram that you've drawn, we are looking at a harmonic frequency.
Yeah. And literally everything is balanced and it's relevant to and from itself and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, and also when I look at it, I'm seeing Da Vinci's man, with the arms and the legs out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you know what else I'm seeing?
Yeah.
Is this perfect structure of the human form. Back to Da Vinci's man. a lot of people, I've been studying UFOs and stuff for years and years, and this biped structure with the arms and the leg and the head is universal. Like every other form of life really kind of copies this structure, and it's because
it's almost like a cellular level, isn't it?
Yeah, but that fits this model really, really interestingly.
And somebody said to us today, it looks like a brain.
It does, and also the torus. The torus, like the donut energy shape, self-perpetuating energy shape that's in the movie Thrive and Thrive 2.
Right.
This fits that, and I'm wondering whether the gap at the bottom is something to do with the perpetuality of the energy movement.
It is.
I'm jumping ahead.
Go on. So anyway, the way that came to me, and literally, once I seen the Abracadabra, that word jumped out. Literally, the letters jumped off the page and came to me like boom. And then everybody else we had a bit of a party at the time. They all fell asleep, and I just sat there with it. And within 4 hours, that's the sequence that came out.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, it actually works and fits together. So basically what you do is you do what you do. Basically, it's quite simple. You do as it says. So your ADs add a cross. So you put your cross in the center of the dial. Yeah. Now, the actual cross itself is formatted from the word Abracadabra because you've got 11 across, 11 up the side. So that cross in the center is the actual cross that the Abracadabra writes when you write the word Abracadabra. Okay. Because you've got the A point that goes from that point and down into that center point. But if you look in the history books, but basically for toothache, and there's a lot more than toothache in there.
Toothache and fever.
And fever, yeah. Yeah, so
yeah, it's supposed to be a charm for it.
Yeah, a charm for toothache and fever. Yeah, so like you can see there's a lot more in there than toothache and a fever. So what you do is you add a cross. Yeah, so if you've got your 1 and your 7 on your cross point, you just literally add a cross. Your 1 and 7 is 8, and it's 8 on the other side, and you just do the same all the way around the clock. You just add across the clock. So if you
6 and 9,
6 and 9, but so you're adding out of the clock, which then gives you them the sequences of numbers. And then to balance the clock, you just take the highest from the lowest. You've added, now you subtract. So you just take the highest from the lowest. So as you take the highest from the lowest, so literally you got the 1 and the 8, which is 7, and then from the 7 you take the 1 things. When you go 4 out of subtraction, it comes to 6, and it comes to 6, 6, 6 all the way around the clock of your subtractions.
Does it?
It does.
All the way around.
All the way around.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
6, just for anybody thinking that that's some sort of devilish evil number, that's been hijacked by those guys.
Well, definitely. It's either case it's been hijacked, or we've set it in there to do what we've got to do to move on.
Yeah. I remember.
It's one way or the other, but at the end of the day, because obviously I've found this, but it's all of us. We've got this information, because this clock has never been put with that format. Yeah.
So we're still on the A at the bottom left.
Bottom left. Yeah. So you can see, well, as you add out of all them figures then which come to 6, which means you're at full. Everything is even to and from each other. That's where I get even to and even from. You've gone 4 subtractions out from the clock, and it goes 6, 6, 6 all the way around the clock.
Okay.
Yeah. So each one of them prefixes of 12 are even to and from each other because they all tally up to 6. But when you add the totals up, but you don't add the clock up, you add the totals because the clock's different. You balance the clock, so you add the totals. So you add the 8, the 7, the 1, and the 6, which is 22. That's on your 1 line, and it's the same on the 7 line. And as you go around the clock, tallying it all up, you've got your different prefixes of numbers around the outside. So at the top, you've got 42 at 12 o'clock, 22, which is like your Cancer line or your
Hang on a second, 42.
Yeah.
Did Douglas Adams know anything about this?
Who?
The guy who wrote Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He said the meaning of life was 42.
Did he really?
But it also adds up to 6.
It also adds up to 6. So
yeah.
But the bad thing about it is we've left fragments of ourselves everywhere to get to this particular point where we are, which is the point of stepping in and stepping out. So if you can imagine
It's
where
like collecting clues,
it's
isn't
collecting clues as we go along, we sort of left a trace
things
out
that
there.
jump out at you, it's things that catch your attention.
Yeah, and the way I see it is in previous parallels or previous lives that we've had, we've always played the king and the queen and the royal and the top of the top.
Who's
Yeah.
always played those?
We have, as a
When you say we, who do you mean?
yeah,
Me,
you yeah,
as well.
you as well. The group
All
of
of us.
who we are, we've always been the royal family. We've always been the
So
pharaohs.
why are us three working class idiots then?
Well, this is where we're doing a bit of a switcheroo, right? Because this where we would have sort of like who we are, and then obviously we've got the actors that are the ones doing all our sort of like, not dirty work, but the fillings, the infills. Yeah, to make a civilization. There's no point us like all being part of this like great civilization, and we've got no one around us to rule.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Basically,
it's a different ball game. But
Yeah.
this time we've done something a little bit different. What we've actually done this time is we've come in as just normal people and put the sort of like the actors in control.
Why do we do that? That sounds a bit bonkers.
We can learn more, and so the way I see it is we can learn more about ourselves by living life.
True. Can't disagree.
And not just that, to step forward into this sort of like positive universe of that's already, that's why we're here, to create a positive universe. And to do that, we can take all this knowledge and we can actually respect literally everything around us, where before we probably didn't.
I see.
So it's a case of learning not just that, a pound to a penny. When you look through history, Marilyn Monroe and blah blah blah, all the actors, all the old actors and everything else, it's all of self living that life. So we can actually have a better life than just being stuck sort of like king and queen or whatever, and just sort of like quite isolated, not actually learning anything. So almost like created a miserable universe, yeah, to find a way out. So we respect a positive universe when we get onto the other side.
And appreciate it.
Right, you're basically saying that we've invented tight shoes just to experience the pleasure of taking them off.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you respect what you've got, because
That sounds a bit masochistic to me.
Well, it's the way that we've been. When we're on different parallels, it's not a game, and some of it's kind of serious, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We've seen some horrific stuff, and what we've done is we've been wading through different scenarios, and it's almost like it's a health and safety manual of how to protect your universe and what could go wrong, and the maximum something could go wrong. So you take that sort of frequency,
and not just that, being tested every step of the way to make sure you're the right.
You're doing
people.
and
you've got the right morals, you've got the right thoughts, and the right.
Well, that's really interesting, because this whole quantum system, a couple of things are coming to mind here. The whole quantum financial system, the people I've been discussing that with, and I'm part of some groups and blah, blah, blah. They're talking about the fact that if the system will know what your intent is when you're doing stuff like with money in the future.
Yeah.
And I was also talking to a friend about the Galactic Council and how when you ascend, if you go up to a certain level, they know whether your intention is good or bad. And if it's not pure, you can't go all the way up.
Yeah, you get tested every step of the way.
I've been tested every single way.
Step of the way.
Every step of the way I've been tested. Literally tested. It's like a little bit of information. You deal with this, you deal with that. And then it's like, it's what you do with that. Do you use it for wrong, like all these wrongings that's been going on, or do you use it to sort of like upgrade all of us wherever you are? So whatever we've been doing, because I know we're all the same, we're all one. So whatever I do, I make sure I upgrade everything I learn to all of us wherever we are.
So one of the big themes about relating that to the Q and all of that stuff is that a big part of this cleanup operation is the words that are being used outside of our conversation now are that they want to make sure that this can never happen again.
Yes.
And I'm talking about the massive paedophile networks across the planet that have been running.
But that's all part of the health and safety manual.
Yeah, it's all
We've all
part of the
been
health and
there.
safety manual.
So I've got a 3D human question for you. How does the horrific treatment of children fit into this?
It's in a matrix. And so thing is, when we go in,
you're going to say it's not real now, right?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. No. When we go into the parallels open up. So basically, everything comes at a different size. So we can be in our living room or where we are, and then you see the codes scatter everywhere, and literally everything opens up. So literally everything starts to grow, move, walls push out, blah blah.
The fireplace.
To the point many years ago, we knew when people were coming round because the walls would start moving out. So literally people could come into the house. And
dogs know when you're coming when you're miles away.
Exactly.
Yeah, our room definitely used to grow to the size of the people that were actually going to come and visit us.
Yeah, and the random thing.
So if I came around your house about 10 years ago and I was 18 stone, you'd be living in a mansion.
But the mad thing about it is we've always been in terraced houses, and they're all the same anyway. And then we went to a rave up Manchester many years ago, and there's a friend sort of do, and they said, "Oh, we've got a coach. My dad's driving, ex-policeman." We thought, well, that's bizarre, but anyway. So anyway, we all went to this rave up Manchester, and we all come back, and we thought, well, we're going to get dropped off somewhere. Next thing you know, he pulls up outside our house.
And everyone got off.
70 odd people got off that coach and come into our house.
And we
because you invited them in.
It just happened.
It just happened, and literally.
I'm sure you weren't at the back of the bus going, "I love you all. Come to my house after me."
No,
not even that, was it?
We only knew a few people on the bus.
Yeah, we knew a couple of people on the bus. And then next thing, but the coach stopped off at our house, and literally
everyone got off.
Everyone off, and
everyone came in.
I bet that was a good night.
Oh, mate, it was amazing, wasn't it? It was absolutely amazing. But the only thing was, this room, like, our terraced house room, they're not that massive. If you said they're 4 meters square, yeah. And we had the front parlour and the back parlour. Oh, we had 70 odd people in there, and we were just all sitting in there talking, chatting.
Yeah, and we weren't all squishy, were we?
We weren't all squishy. But when everything goes back to normal, 4 people in that room and it's full.
That's a very good point, because I had a terrace house in Mossad, I told you last time.
Yeah.
And we had a party one night, and there must have been like 150 people coming in and out of the house, but it never seemed that packed.
Yeah.
No.
It never seemed that packed. It actually
definitely doable.
Definitely, yeah. Yeah. And then when everybody's gone, and it's like midweek, and there's 4 of you sitting in a room, and it's round.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
So it's almost like the dimensions shift and change depending on who you are.
We did always used to know.
Because everything's relative, right? You don't really notice it unless you're aware of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
We literally, the room would grow before people actually knocked on the door.
Yeah, we knew people.
We always knew people were on the way round.
On the way round, then a taxi would pull up with people.
And then the door would knock.
Now look, I've got to be like devil's advocate here. There are going to be some people listening to this going, well, obviously they're just on drugs, and that's the way that works. I mean, what do you say about that?
Well, a whole coach full of people fitted in our terrace house.
Yeah.
Well, I can't argue with those facts. So let's move on. All right, we're still on there.
And do you know the nice thing about this? Since we've been doing the juice thing, and the juice thing is very much sort of like drugs. Yeah.
Well,
natural.
Go on.
Yeah. Anyway, people that sort of like we know that like, because we're quite open with what we've done and everything else, because we haven't got a problem with it. And literally, right, we've got them on the juice, and they're absolutely buzzing their tits off and absolutely loving it. And then when we talk about what we've done in the past, they see it 100% and literally go, wow, now I know where you're coming from.
Well, I'll just explain this quickly, because the juice that you're talking about is basically quinine, which is
homemade quinine.
Which is homemade, and it's the skin of grapefruit and lemon, organic, not unwaxed, slow cooked, and then drained off. And I've been using it now for about 3 weeks with the quercetin and the zinc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, you
and
saw
it's max strength zinc as well.
I've got exactly the ones you told me to get, and I've been taking it every day. My son's been taking it. We've been right as rain. I mean, apart from these sort of ascension symptoms or whatever you want to call them, yeah, it's incredible. And you said that I look like I've lost weight earlier.
Definitely.
Loads of people
have. Yeah, loads of people have. Because you talk about a woman, you've got all the aches and pains.
Yeah, there was a woman on the juice group, and she said, "Oh, I've got a slight problem. I'm aching all over, and I really don't understand it. Is anybody else getting it?" And I said to her, "Have you been a bit more active than usual?" And she said, "Well, yes." And I said, "Well, it's because you're running around like a teenager and you're not used to it."
That's another very good point, because you know, I think it was about a week ago. I went on a Monday. I think I was going, oh, my legs hurt, and I'd forgotten that I was dancing in the kitchen for about an hour.
Yeah, it is literally, and you know, we've had people that go, "No, I don't believe you, don't believe." So what we do is we take it out with us in the daytime. I've had customers on it. I go around customers' house, says, "You need this," and literally they're like, "Wow." You know what I mean? And we've got friends and family.
I've got to tell you a funny story. Right? Do you like a funny story?
Oh, why not?
Right.
Go on then.
Close on this time. Now. I know what you're thinking. So I'm in this veg shop, and I'm holding up a grapefruit and a lemon, and I'm going to the guy who owns the shop. You can make quinine with this, which is the active ingredient in hydroxychloroquine. And the woman who was in the shop, who had a mask on, she looked at me like I just said that the devil was in the room.
No, it's funny.
Because that's the power of the brainwashing against something that quite clearly is very effective against, you know, being ill.
Yeah.
Well, that's the reason why I've not mentioned hydroxychloroquine in the group. I know it would trigger people.
Well, you know,
put them off.
I probably shouldn't say the word on this video, but the thing is,
how
ridiculous is that? So, you know, I was looking at her and I held up the grapefruit and the lemon, and I was going, it's a grapefruit and a lemon.
And water. It's not rocket science, is it? No, it's like, gee whiz. Honestly, some of the comments.
The thing is, it's so easy, and so it is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can understand why people can't get their head around it.
Well, all the answers are right in front. That's because we've all been programmed to go to the doctor if we're ill, and then take.
Yeah, to make it more complicated than it actually really is.
Well, we was sort of like, well, with, you know, obviously with the knowledge and stuff that we go through and what we've done, just like, and we still can't get people to actually like open up. So we thought, do you know what? Let's take this round to our mates and friends, and we'll get this down and to see if it clears the head fog. Yeah. So we thought, right, we've been doing about 11 weeks now, and I'll tell you what, that's the other week was about 400 miles an hour, because I just had a swig of it, and literally you fire up. It's like, it's the difference between
it's proper.
It's the difference between normal octane or like rocket fuel high octane. It's as simple as that. And literally
every single time
you have it in the morning, and within 25 minutes you are 400 miles an hour.
Was it
all day, non-stop?
I've had similar experiences with raw cacao.
Oh right.
You know, like chocolate is made from. If you get the raw stuff,
we've done the
same. Bitter, isn't it? Yeah, that's quite bitter as well, isn't it?
It is. It's bitter. You put it in with a bit of honey and some cayenne pepper and drink. And I remember doing a meeting after a cup of that. I was on fire.
Yeah, literally.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, all the answers are in nature, basically.
They are, and the thing is, we got some quite close friends, and we're like been going on about different things and stuff, and you could see it weren't really going in. So in the end, we've got the juice in there, and now they're like pinging, finding things and showing us what's going on. I'm like, wow, it actually does lift the brain fog.
Brilliant.
That was our intention. To try and help people, to try and lift the brain fog. It creates an energy, a real pure energy as well. There is a connection, and literally people now that we know, they've actually now switched on and they actually understand what's really going on. They can actually see it. It's actually
that's really interesting, because this is back to this diagram, back to the perfection of a snowflake, back to the Emoto pictures of water and all of that, and how deformed those shapes are when they have negative frequencies put into them.
Yeah.
That's the same with the human race. So that juice that you're talking about helps people get back to the right frequency. And when you're at the right frequency, you can pick up the information that you need in order to decode what's going on in the world. So that's why you've got this split between people who are fast asleep in their masks and other people that patently think it's all nonsense.
Yeah, and that's why I've steered clear of the whole hydroxychloroquine thing, because I know that word triggers people.
Well, stop saying it then.
Well, you know.
But now
I'm not going to share this video on the group.
But now the people that were sort of like, oh God Almighty, Donald Trump's on it, blah blah blah. Now when we actually tell people, right, you've been having now hydroxychloroquine for the last 4 weeks. Yeah. And all of a sudden
the old bait and switch, yeah,
the old switcheroo, and they're like, have I? I went, yeah, and not just that. We was in there to try and help them with the brain fog. It's actually healing people's illnesses they've had all their life, all around the world. It's in Russia, it's in Spain.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere, and the feedback we're getting coming back in with people.
Yeah, people are getting rid of all the pharmaceutical, all their. Honestly, it's awesome. The different things it's actually healing.
Yeah, one woman, she's had, I can't say the word, but she's had like she's been on morphine for 7 years of her life, and within 2 days of having the juice, she's off of morphine.
Well, this is brilliant, and you know, I was actually approached by a woman the other day that cured herself of cancer 30 years ago, and she's been in Israel, based in the desert, just curing people of cancer. And she contacted me. I can't remember what video she'd seen of me, but she said, because I work in, you know, because I'm a marketeer or whatever, she said, and I'm doing stuff like this. She said, you're the only person I think that could help me get this out there. And I said, what do you want to do? She said, well, it's not just about curing people of cancer. It's that when I teach them how easy it is to cure yourself of cancer, what happens then is that they wake up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And that's what she wants to do. She wants to show people how easy it is to cure yourself of cancer the way she did it, but without teaching you a method, in order to help more people wake up, in order to help this process that we're going through right now. So it's
this juice definitely does help people through it.
Well, listen, one thing I should say, just a little tip, make sure you download all the stuff from the Facebook group in case the group gets taken down, because you've got incredible testimonies in there. And
we've started doing that.
Yeah, we have started.
We have started doing that, and it'd be nice as well if we could find a non-pharma doctor or a group of that can take this on board and run it properly as a test. We've got the evidence to prove.
Well, you know, I'm working with Dr. Q, who wrote Eyes Wide Open, the book. Have you seen that on my channel?
He's the one that I messaged.
You're the guy. Yeah, we messaged him.
We messaged him with a juice group.
Well, he's in my WhatsApp.
All we got back was a thumbs up
and a winky eye.
Well, you know, I'll tell you what. We'll arrange a chat with you and him after this sometime.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, that'd
be amazing.
He's an amazing guy. He's really open to stuff. I think he gets bombarded with messages because he's got a book out. But so let's, you know, for everybody watching this, I just want to make sure nobody feels shortchanged. So I'm just going to quickly zoom down here. There's more diagrams in here. There's this chair, which we're going to explain in a bit. And there's all these chats and a few more diagrams. This is all in the PDF, right? But we're still going to work through this and make sure that we're following some sort of sequence. So if we're back to the A, have we moved on from the A yet?
I don't know. So anyway, I always bang on about relevant to and from. So everything's got to be relevant to and from something, and it just balances.
What's A relevant to and from? The D, opposite.
Right. If you can scroll down the page,
yeah,
I'll show you where.
Here.
Keep going. Right.
That one.
Now then, here's a quickie. I've seen this one in Egyptians. I don't know if I've seen it real time or I've seen it when I've been sort of like on the parallels. And this is a symbol of like a deadline. Yeah.
What is the deadline?
Well, a deadline is, I think, back in the day when they used to build a pyramid for the pharaoh. Yeah, they had to work out how long that pharaoh was going to live to build the pyramid, to finish the pyramid for when he died or passed on.
Right.
Yeah. Which then sort of like involves mass as materials, substance as in food, and obviously people as to put it together. So it's a timeline and a deadline when one finishes and one ends. Yeah. So they used to build this is the way I say, they used to build the pyramids. So that obviously The bigger they built the pyramid, the longer the pharaoh's got to live to build the pyramid before he actually died. But they're never buried in there, though, were they? They was buried in well, apparently in the hills. They weren't actually buried in it. It's just a symbol of that sort of like timeline.
Gotcha.
Deadline. You know, when you work on a job, you got a deadline.
I mean,
it's a timeline. It's a deadline.
Yeah.
And so you can actually see the symbol of the A. So there's the symbol of the A. Now, if you want to scroll down a little bit more to the star,
this one,
right? So this is another symbol of the A, the A and the V. So you've got the. If you look at the top of the page between your 11 and your 1, you can see the V. Yeah.
But also, this A is a pyramid with a capstone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And when you take the capstone off, on the dollar bill, there's the all-seeing eye.
Exactly, and there it is. And not just that. If you look at the 180 line, as you're looking across the 180 line to the 30, which is the 30 out, so obviously they tally up to 30. And if you put your 180 there to your 90, you got 30 degrees of separation to make your clock face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So within that pyramid, you've got 60 degrees. So you've got 60 degrees of separation or 6 degrees of separation. And then to get the actual prefix of where the A is 15 degrees either side of that line. Yeah. Which then gives you prefix for that line for the letter A.
And what came to mind when I'm looking at this and I'm thinking about clock faces, and then I'm thinking about Alice in Wonderland and the we're going to be late, the clock. And I'm also thinking about I had a really good idea there when some of the kids.
Well, Alice as well. You got the A.
It's gone now.
See the A and the V.
No, I know what. No, sorry, I know what I'm thinking of. Father Kronos, Father Time, which some people, if you read up on this, say is Lucifer, because control of this clock, control of the concepts of time, also implies control of this system.
He who controls time controls man. Yeah. Basically,
that's exactly why everybody's working 9 to 5 and then dying after they've retired because they're killing them all. So this actually resonates throughout everything.
And because obviously you got the 30-degree line, the 30 degrees of separation. When you go back to the Abracadabra clock, you can see where you got the 230s on the 6th line.
230 on the 6th line. Where's that?
So if you go in on the 9 and the 3 line.
Okay, 9 is here.
Yeah, 9 is there, and you got the 3 on the other side. It's 9 and 3 through. Yeah, and when you add them totals up, it comes to 30 and 30 across that line. So that's actually 30 degrees of separation all the way through. Yeah. Now, also when you look at the top line, because obviously you got that's your 180 line of your 360. You've got your 90 on both sides of that of your right angle, and you got 40. You got a measurement. You got a total there of 42 and 42. Yeah. Well, you've got 6 7s within. Is that what I'm saying? That right?
6 7s in both.
You got 6 7s within the within the 180. Yeah, and you times that together, and you get 42.
Yeah,
and you get 42 on the bottom. So you see how you've got your 30 line, 30 degrees of separation. You've got the 7s, which is balanced between acid and alkali in there. And then basically then you've got your 42 going all the way through. So I haven't got all these figures yet because I've only got this. So I've done all this many years ago. So I've been on paper and we've used it for different things and we've been here and we've been there with it. It's the last 2 weeks. It took me 2 weeks to get it down and get it on a piece of paper. So which is like wicked now because it's like almost like it's out of my head and on a bit of paper.
Did you say something to me recently that the colours in this thing change when you're not looking at it sometimes?
Well, I'll tell you what did happen when we did this the other week. Now, I worked this out many years ago, but this time I said to my Ralph, "It's your turn now to feminize it. It's been male. So the original one, if you come into the center of the clock, the Abracadabra, when I opened that up and went out, that was the male side. So I said to my Ralph, now it's time for the female to take over because if you look at the actual word abra, it means female.
What? Because it says abra.
Yeah, which is bizarre. Yeah, everything's got a relevant term from something.
The word abra in phrase and fable equals female.
Equals female.
Well, I meant a bra, as in, a bra.
Yeah, the bra boobies. Yeah.
No, there's no coincidences.
No, there is no coincidence. But where the term went from. You know what I mean? It's like Mother Nature. Yeah, the Earth is female. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's everything, the nurturing and everything else. It's all female.
Well, that was interesting because JC pointed out the other day about 666 popping up on something. She said it was the Earth energy. Mother Earth energy.
It's Mother Earth. Yeah, it's the Earth. It's the whole universe and everything in it. It's the female. But this was open.
Which actually explains why they demonized it, because they demonized the female energy and women for centuries.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right? Which is ridiculous, because feminine energies, without feminine energy, there's nothing.
No, and they're saying it's the female that creates the male. It's as simple as that.
So there's a chicken and the egg, right?
There is.
There's a chicken and the egg. They're lying in bed together, and the egg turns to the chicken and says, "Well, I guess we know now." I might have to explain that joke. I'm not going to bother. But carry on.
Oh, yeah. We're going for days about something else then, won't we? It's like when we watched the documentary, didn't they? They were done about like the chicken is relevant to the dinosaur.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered.
Oh, let's not fuck around with that. Let's not have Finny fucking around with that. We've got one big Jurassic Park.
Well, I was talking about this the other day because some people said, when I mentioned the fact that I didn't think dinosaurs ever existed, they made it up. It's the kind of comment that most people just laugh at me in the pub or something. But
you can write it into a story.
Quite a lot of people said, "Oh, I had the same idea," and it resonated with them. And then I can't remember who I was talking to, but I said, "Well, think about it. Steven Spielberg was outed as a pedo by Isaac Cappy, and he's part of this controlled grid, bad guy structure. And look how they've just pommeled us with Jurassic. I mean, I love Jurassic Park, the movies, and
we've been watching that quite a lot, just lately, haven't we? Yeah.
But all they're doing with those films is cementing these fables that they want us to believe.
Yeah. And promoting fear.
Yeah, I've seen somewhere that the so-called bones that are in sort of like these museums are covered in lead.
None of them are actual bones.
No, the plaster Paris, but they're covered in lead.
Are they?
Apparently so. They reckon there's radioactive.
Oh, just to give it away.
I'm like, really? Radioactive dinosaur bones? And they reckon that's why they have to cover them in lead? Or it just holds the plaster of Paris together better, doesn't it? It makes it look more something, doesn't it, really? And not just that, don't forget, lead has got the same properties as gold.
Yeah, well, lead's very similar. The alchemists were always trying to turn lead into gold, and probably succeeded.
Also, you've got sort of like the holy grey ore.
Grey.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Which is lead. Lead is grey. When I opened this clock up, the energy that came out of this was just pure golden energy. There was no nastiness in it. There was no heaviness in it. It was just pure gold. Literally, the walls, the sofas, literally was like beautiful, like Tinseltown gold everywhere. And this is why I think this gold era, this gold age, I don't think it's a physical gold. It's an energy, and that's why these
they're all obsessed.
They're all obsessed with surrounding themselves with gold and trinkets because it's an artificial energy.
Gold. I mean, I read somewhere once that every religious text ever written has three things in common: gold, a serpent, and slavery. And gold. When we started the journey on different parallels as it was coming through, the energy was clunky. It was literally, we used to be absolutely full of it.
Yeah.
Literally, it was like walking glitter bombs. Literally, it was in your eyes.
By the way, if you two ever write an autobiography, you should call it that: walking glitter bombs. I love it.
That'd be wicked, wouldn't it? Yeah. Or hundreds of thousands for the kiddie version. And as we started coming through and we started learning it all, I started clearing it, and it started becoming more gold, more fluid, more interactive with us.
Didn't hurt,
didn't clatter you. It's almost like back in the day. I remember back in the day again when you used to do ecstasy, you'd be like booming away, and then all of a sudden on a Sunday night, all of a sudden everything got really heavy and ping you to the sofa. I don't know if you ever remember them days.
Well, I was just reminded of another stand-up comic, as I tend to be, called Tony Burgess in Manchester. He used to do this fantastic sketch about, back in the 90s, this was about being on a Saturday night and then going to church on a Sunday, and he'd be in the church going, "I plough the fields and scatter," and like getting the beat out of the Catholic Church. And then, "Here, rub some of that Vicks on me back, Father."
I've been to a wedding before when they passed the dish round and everybody put ecstasy tablets in it.
Oh, that must have been a good do.
and then
Your Auntie Mabel cuddling you in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I know where there's still some original ones, but it just needs a scaffold to get to the bastards. Because I won't say where I was working, but was working on this big spire in a town, and we did a big, massive lead spire, and the Lord Mayor wanted to do a thingy box, the time capsule box.
Yeah.
So he was like, "Right, and boys, you can put anything in you want to put in it and everything and blah blah blah." So it's like that. Fucking hell, so we've got CDs in there, we put ecstasy in there, how to use it, and blah blah. The whole porn, fucking everything. Honestly, we put the lot in there. He's standing there, all his fucking twatty fucking gear on, doing this ceremony on the roof, and he's holding this box. We're like, only if he fucking knew what was in it. Right. So anyway, he put it in. We sealed it in and we put the last sheet in, job done. So I know exactly where they are for the future. So literally people go, "What the fuck's this?"
If you ever run out, you just go back and get the time.
Exactly. Need a bit of scaffold, get it, but I know exactly where it is.
Well, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I wonder how many of those there are around the world. People think they've buried something reverentially and then...
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? And he was standing there and he says, "Well, I'll put my own sort of beer in there and everything and blah, blah, blah." For fucking hell, it's fucking boring.
Well, it's good to know that the true nature of the human race is being stored properly somewhere.
Exactly. It is, isn't it? And it's there for the future. So
Instead of the sanitized version that they want us all to believe. So
300 years time, I'm going, okay, CD, music, house music, nice to do this. Wow, fucking hell. They knew what they was doing.
Yeah, but you know what'll happen then? They'll be doing excavations, right? And they'll be excavating some old building, and they'll be going, "Oh my God, we found millions of these tiny bones," and they won't realise that they're excavating an old KFC and the bin outside, debris.
Yeah. We sorted out the rubbish anyway for McDonald's because the seagulls come and just take the lot.
Well, I feel sorry for the seagulls. They must be ill.
Yeah, I just don't fly though, don't they? I mean,
well, they're tough birds, Have you ever read Jonathan Livingston's Seagull?
No.
I'll tell you what, I know you're not a big reader, but that is a great book, and it'll take you about an hour to read it.
Oh, really?
It'll blow your mind.
That's why I bought Phase and Fable. It was only small bits. I could concentrate long enough.
Yeah, that's your Christmas present sorted.
Okay, cool, wicked.
So where are we at? Let's keep driving this forward. Where are we at on here?
Right, so you can see how all the clock balances itself with all the figures.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at the bigger one, I've got one on the wall here pinned up. So basically, as you come out the clock, the actual clock reverses itself. So if you go down to where the June point is, and you turn it around, and then from that June point, you've got right in the middle of there, you've got 12 again. So from the 18 out, which is your calculation out, you've got 12. And it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and it actually reverses back on itself. Back round the clock.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you turn that upside down, you got the 12 point again, and then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, back 11, 12 again. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then you go back up to the top of the clock again, which is like December. The one down from the 6, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see you've got all them individual clocks within that clock.
Yeah.
And it just reverses itself from the cap, and that is just randomly from taking the highest from the lowest to get to your 6. So you can see how many.
So something's just popped into my head, which is Tesla. Now Tesla said the key to the 3 number keys to the universe are the numbers 3, 6, and 9.
Which is your March and September line, which is your 30 line.
Yeah. This is it gets more interesting than we dig into.
Because one thing I've always been I don't even know how to use a computer. I've took one to pieces and I've rebuilt it. Then I have to ask you how to switch it on for me, see if it works.
Are you saying that you can create universes, but you can't use a computer?
Exactly. Mental, innit?
I love it. I love it.
I can vouch for that.
You vouch for that.
Definitely can't
I've
use a
switch this
computer.
on. I don't know. But I literally until I knew the end was coming. I knew 2020 was we the last two big whopping parallels we went into. We went into one and was in there 2 bloody weeks.
Explain that, because that might not make sense to somebody.
Yeah, well, obviously we use the base, which fires us up, and then we go in, boom, and then that's it. Everything opens up around us. So basically, what it is sort of the room, whatever room we're in, and this goes for everybody. That's your safe vessel. Yeah, so everybody's got a vessel around them.
Does that include your body, or are you just talking about?
It's your body. It's the room that you're in.
Yeah.
Or we could come to your house and it'd be a vessel. And it's what protects us from everything. It's a vessel.
Yeah.
And so basically everything around it. So we can sit in here in this vessel of beautiful gold energy. And when you're looking out what's going on through the window, oh outside, my God, it is absolute purgatory what was going on. Especially, see, when we said we went to Saturn, as in I asked the energies, because the energies, they used to rub on the top of my head. So basically, I'd ask yes, no questions, and then I'd get like a rub, like a cap on my head, and it's a yes, no.
Oh, sorry, I'm going to interrupt you there.
Mm.
I have had this feeling on the top of my head since last Sunday.
Yeah.
Like there's a cap on the.
Yeah.
Like
you should talk to it.
To talk to it.
Ask it a question. Yes, no question.
Yeah, ask it a yes, no question. Yeah,
and really pronounced. You know, when I've been lying in bed, I've been like, "Wow."
Yeah, and
trying to get your attention.
Trying to get attention, and the rub like that, like, "Hello, come on, wake up." And basically, when you get 5 minutes, ask it a yes, no question, and it's literally got to be yes or no. So are we say at Saturn? Yeah, and you get a rub. So I went through all the different planets. Yeah, and I went Saturn rub. Okay, so that's where we are. Now, we're not actually there, because obviously it's in a matrix, but everything around us was absolute purgatory.
It was
what
awful.
do you mean? What explain purgatory?
When we looked out of our safe vessel, say looked out of the window, everything outside was horrific.
Horrific.
Yeah, but what?
Everything was consuming itself.
Oh, right.
So literally, you could look at a rainwater pipe and it turned into like these horrible gargoyle sort of things, and it was just like
eating
itself. And then there's like
another one on the wall, and that was eating itself, and it was all eating itself. It was like self-destruction. It was just absolute. The most evil, awful.
Yeah, even the dog didn't want to go outside. He was like, "I ain't going out there." You know what I mean? I'll suffer it in here.
So you're in your room. You're full of this golden energy. You go to Saturn.
It's brought to us outside because you open the matrix, so we're in a different matrix.
But this sounds a lot like Doctor Who's TARDIS.
Do you know what?
Yeah,
it ain't far off.
Do you know what though? That's really interesting. Because I'm a massive Doctor Who fan, right? And
I'll tell you something offline about that as well.
Oh, well, I've got loads of stories. You know, Doctor Who got me to the West End as a director, which is another story. But using the hero's journey, funnily enough, because I directed a show that ended up in the West End. But I've been aware. You know, I stopped watching TV years ago, and the one thing I wouldn't give up was Doctor Who. Right,
we're the same.
It was like my one treat. But over the last couple of years, especially when they screwed it up with Jodie Whittaker and everything, over the last few years, there's been a thought in my head saying, Mark, you're going to have to face it. Doctor Who was created for a reason. It's all programming. Why? So I keep asking myself why, because I used to be a big advocate of the fact that it was actually a very subversive program, and the allegories in there were really, really powerful and for kids and stuff like that. But you are literally describing the TARDIS.
It's almost like that.
Yeah.
It's almost like that.
And the Doctor used to say, we are wanderers in the fourth dimension. And,
the weird thing...
They knew what they were doing, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
every
See,
natural reason.
just to recap, because this sequence of how the universe works and how all these numerology, how it all fits together, it's all balanced, and that word Abracadabra has always been our word. It's always been who we are. Yeah. So everything that's around you, yeah, is part of our universe. No matter how bad it seems or what's going on, yeah, it belongs to us.
Because
The TVs, the thing is, the floor, it's all part of the universe and how it fits together. It's all our stuff, because you can't open another universe inside a universe.
Okay.
Yeah. So everything around us, everything belongs to us. It's all coded to us and how it works. And this is why I wanted to get in touch with you, because like I was talking to somebody the other day about relationships, because he's just split up with his other half, and I said, well, a relationship's a bit like fire. Yeah. So obviously when you meet somebody, there's a spark, there's a fire, and it's burning nice and hot. Now, as you go further out from that point to collect wood to keep the fire going, yeah. So as you're going further out from that point, you've got to go further and further and further to bring the material to burn to keep the fire alight. Now, if one person decides they don't want to do that, then the fire will go out and the relationship ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
this is very pertinent.
So I says, and that's what happens. I said, but this time, yeah, I've been watching. I've known about all this, and I've caught up with absolutely everybody in the last 4 months. Because I've not flooded myself with anything what's going on out there ever. I've only just done what I know. Just kept my focus clean, tidy. So there's no interference from the outside, or is it because I've watched something or seen something?
Very
so
important to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So literally, all of us now all coming together, and we're all throwing something into that bonfire. Yeah, keeping that fire burning.
Yeah, because you sent me a message last week saying that after the first podcast, I was part of some process.
What was that? I missed that bit.
No, you said you sent me a message saying thanks for doing the podcast. It was amazing because normally it's just two of us, but having somebody else there. And
exactly. We've always thought, and you probably thought the same thing, that you're the only one fighting for everybody.
Yeah.
And not just that, you've always thought, what am I doing here? Because I don't belong. It's almost like we've always thought, how do we get off this fucking chunk of fucking rock? So I don't feel like I've been home yet.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it.
Yeah. And it's like when we know what we've done with the banks, this, that, when we've took the lot on using this format and we destroyed them. You know what I mean? The powers that be, we've like tackled them big time. It's another story, but like we used this format against them and they didn't know what to do with us. so literally we know how powerful we are, and who we are. And it got to the stage of like, well, who am I? What am I doing? So once the only way I've found out who we all are is by who we're fucking not.
Yeah.
So I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not this. So that means I'm this. So by working out who you aren't, you can actually start working out who you really are. Yeah. And we always thought it was just me and you against the whole system, big time. And then obviously I started watching things, talking to people, and I was like, you know what? We're not on our own. There's more of us than you actually think.
Yeah.
And does this relate to why you contacted me?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was an instant.
Instant connection.
I watched you on Charlie War, and you went boom. I went, do you know what? That's me, that is, because we're all the same. Exactly. And I was like, that's something I have never told anybody because I keep it to myself. And he just said exactly, what I won't tell anybody because it's relevant to and from. Yeah. So I was like, wow, that is one of us. But the other weekend, when I started doing the clock, we went in for 24 hours. It was quite good for us, really, because sometimes we can be in there for weeks. And
do you literally mean weeks?
Weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks. We go in, we have a couple of dabs of what we do to open all those channels up and open up. Because don't forget, everything that's around you is your tool to use. Yeah. We said it's illegal to keep you away from it, but you still go and do it. Yeah. It's a tool. Everything in this universe is what's been preset in the story for you as to use. Yeah.
Yeah.
So literally, we can have a few dabs, blah, blah. And then if there's a mission to go on, literally, we're off.
You've got everything you need.
Yeah. and literally we don't eat, we don't sleep, we just go for drinks, and we're literally there for 2 weeks until we find a way out.
Wow.
And then literally I'll have a night's sleep, and I'll go back to work.
I'll tell you, I'm just going to say this because it reminded me of it. What you've described in the last 5 minutes is actually very apt for what a lot of people have been going through during this year, 2020.
Yeah.
The amount of people, even in my own life, a few weeks ago, I just got a message, right? You've got to just dump those people, and you've got to go and connect with these people, and then you've got to do this. And it was like very, very clear, strong instruction. And I was like, but why not I upset them? What does that mean? But it was so clear. It was like, no, you've given them what they need. They've got the rest of their path to go on. You now need to move to this.
Move on. Yeah.
On.
Otherwise, you just
We've all been the same.
And that's why the abracadabra, you see, because that word has always been there through our whole format. Yeah. It's a magical or non-magical word. It's a switch. Yeah. So this is why I want to get this out there. Yeah. So it switches us all on. So it's like, I can have people round with us that are like-minded people, otherwise they wouldn't be here with us. And literally, as we start going through the journey, because I load them with information as we're going to go, they come on the same journey as us.
Okay.
Yeah. And the only thing is the information I give them. So I'll give them the information of how things work, blah, blah, and everything else. And then as everything starts opening up, other people come along the same journey, see the same things, and go through the same things with us. So you can see that it's not just us. Yeah. It's all of us, then people that are here that are coming on the journey is also us. And when I tell them the information of how things work and what I've been putting together, they also got to take on the same journey, see the same things, and go through the same things as what we do.
Well, yeah, I mean the amount of people that I've spoken to whose relationships have ended, and they're doing completely different things than they were a few months ago, and they're being taken care of. Everything's sort of working out, but in a weird way, while all this madness is going on around us. It's
I've actually forgot about the madness.
Well, I have, to be honest.
It's almost like it's I won't say it's last season, but I've actually through this whole lockdown thing, my life hasn't changed. I've just cracked on with. I ain't listened to a word they've said. I mean, literally, we've just been doing just the usual thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different for me because I work in construction, so. We're still in a room with 6 or 8 people, plasters, this, blah, blah, blah.
Do you realise how funny what you just said was?
What?
I work in construction.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? Yeah, it is weird. I mean, we've got loads of things to talk about. I wouldn't say the fuck-ups, but we've had domes spinning above the house. We've had boxes stored above the house, literally energy boxes, and literally... Don't know how long they was there, but there's full of fucking clouds, and when they dropped down through into the room, fucking it steamed the whole fucking room up, didn't it?
Yeah, it went foggy.
It went foggy and everything. We've had domes spinning, literally. Obviously, when everything disconnects and separates, all the houses all separate, so the grid's separated. So literally,
the trees start moving.
All the houses are fucking bouncing up and down, literally bouncing like fucking.
Do you know what?
What?
When all this shit's over, can we run a retreat business at your house?
Yeah, no problem. Honestly, obviously it was a learning curve. It was a learning curve. It's like I've got to do this. I've got to switch this. I've got to switch that. I've got to switch this off. You know what I mean? Like we used to switch from one parallel to another parallel. I thought, fucking hell, is this fucking normal? You know what I mean? Because and then switch one parallel off and switch another one on. You know what I mean? And there's the energy guys out there. They're us. Yeah, they're us that hold everything together. And the formats they can use is fantastic. They have beautiful horses with all glitter and armor on. They've got all the chariots. They've got this. They've got that, and they use all our old sort of technology.
Is this where I just got a flashback to paintings, from Greek mythology and stuff like that, where these gods in chariots and horses coming out from the sky. Is that the same thing?
Same thing, yeah. Pull us along, and we got
farmers with all the animals.
Farmers with the animals and the sky. Giants pulling all the domes around and pulling everything all in, and then cowboys. We've had all the literally use all different sort of things.
Yeah. The Egyptian boat.
Yeah, the Egyptian boat, the one that was lost in the sea that got dropped over on us. They've had the pyramids drop over, come over in cloud form and drop over us.
Unreal.
Yeah. It's, don't get me wrong. When this first started, it was like, fucking hell, something's touching me and we're under attack. What the fuck are we going to do about this? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, shit. and then as time's gone on, you realise, oh, this is what we're doing. This is how it works. You know what I mean? And the energy guys, which are us, they've got a wicked sense of humour. They're fuckers, they are. They can start off sort of as a giant pulling the dome around or pulling a parallel towards us. And then as they come sort of through the wall, they turn into a snake like to just jump on you and scare the fuck out. You go, yeah, that's fucking funny. You know what I mean? So like,
just to wind you up.
Just to fucking wind you up, yeah. Just to wind you up, yeah.
Well, I mean, I found ayahuasca to be a little bit had a real sense of humour.
Yeah, honestly. Yeah.
Zap you with laser guns and all sorts.
Yeah, fucking about, fucking love. And then when it's sort of like we've done what we've done, it's like fight time. So it's like literally we have like fucking energy fights and fucking this and that and fucking, you know what I mean? But you think it was against them, and you think fucking hell, why are they attacking us? And you realise it's yourself. You know, getting yourself stronger of who you really are.
Oh.
Yeah, and getting your confidence up.
This is what I love about you. You sound like you're in the middle of some highfalutin story, and then there's like this heavy bombshell that you just dropped there, which is beautiful.
It is, and you know what I mean. It's like we've been jammed in places. Next thing you know, they just arrive, yeah, and then they're like literally cutting you out, lifting you up, and then you're sliding across somewhere else, and you're going in here and you're spinning around. So yeah, it's a matrix. It's a massive matrix because we can go into it, we can separate it, and then literally we have the houses bouncing. Literally, the houses are bouncing up and down. And with the walls, literally the garden all separates, and you think, oh fucking hell, the neighbours in the garden, fucking hell, and they just carry on like nothing's fucking happening, and they can't see it. They can't see it.
It's always at a time when the neighbour's hanging his washing out.
You know, your fucking washing machines. How is your washing machine anyway? The washing line's going that way. The shed's going that way. That one's going that way. The street lights are rattling and going that way. And they're fucking hanging washing out. You think,
so these dimensions are mingling and merging all the time, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you know, some people obviously have abilities that other people don't, where they can see into, like you guys do, and you know,
it's either magical or non-magical. So
yeah,
this is why I want to get that about the Abracadabra, and that word is created with that time clock. Them two things come hand in hand with each other. You know what I mean? You couldn't have another word that adds up to all the actual clock face. Yeah. Don't forget, I started with the word Abracadabra and built the time clock.
But there's this bit missing at the bottom.
Yeah, now I've always noticed there's a bit missing on the bottom. Yeah, it's open because there's no prefix on that. But everything around it is a sequence to lock it all back together again.
Yeah, so it's all in perfect balance and in perfect order. But why is this bit open at the bottom?
That's perfect order. Now, I was watching another program, because whatever you watch, or whatever you see on TV, it's there for a reason, because the program's put it out to catch your attention. Yeah,
well, that's the same as everything in life, isn't it? It's just
that's the same as anything. So you just learn what's around you. So whatever's happening around you is happening for a reason.
Yeah,
it might seem shit, but there's a reason for it. And I forget what her name is now. She was talking about.
Oh, I know. You sent me a message.
The American lady. Charlie Ward.
Charlie Ward.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Kate Garraway.
You know what her name is now, and she's wicked. Literally, she's like 400 miles an hour. She's like, and Charlie Ward's like, I don't know if I can deal with this. And she's like, I'm like, I know exactly what you're fucking talking about. You know what I mean?
She talks a lot about the Bible. But she was talking about the
Stone of Destiny and where the Stone of Destiny comes from. And I was like, oh, okay, and that's part of the throne, yeah.
Because you know, Hitler was obsessed with all these things.
He went around everywhere, didn't he? Measuring people's heads and everything. And
Spear of Destiny, the Stone of Destiny, Ark of the Covenant, all these.
And you see that in Indiana Jones films.
Mm-hmm.
It's there, black and white, blah blah.
Again, directed by Spielberg.
Yeah, exactly. So when I looked at the chair, I see it quickly flick on TV, and I've seen the V in the chair. You know, the top of the coronation chair.
Shall I go down to that chair?
Yeah, let's go down to the chair. There we go, look. Right. You go to the top of the chair. Right, there you go, look.
What you got there perfectly into the bottom of your...
Into the bottom of that.
Ah!
Right. And then if you count the symbols at the side of the chair, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Where?
That's your right.
Sticky out.
You see, sticky out a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That locks into your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into your clock. Your numbers coming out.
Oh, I see it now. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Looks. Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, because you sent me this picture last week, and I was like, I don't get it. How does it fit in?
Yeah. So that there V is V, and obviously V is part of the 22 and the 5.5. Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. So and that goes into the crown.
Yeah, and then if you look at the end of the chair, you got the 2 lines on at the end of the chair. Look.
Yeah.
At the top of the chair.
Well, that lines up with the clock face, and locks it in. It also lines up with the H's that lock down and come in as well.
Do you know what? You're not as mad as you sound.
No, I know. For years, and I still think I'm bonkers.
You'll see it better on the other Abracadabra.
Yeah.
Go down a bit. That one.
Hey.
That one.
Oh yeah, there.
So what we've done, we've drawn the chair and how it locks in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your chair on the right hand side. That's your chair symbols. Yeah. Now everything starts with A and ends in A. Yeah. Right. So look, you've got your A points. So what I've done in orange, look, is your A points, which lock in across the actual face. So it actually, them A points on the open points fit into there perfectly and lock in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's a start. Because everything's it's symbolic of the A. So then when you actually calculate across that face, yeah, you've got the first top one is 12, the next one down is 24, then the next one is 12, 20, 12. When you add them up, guess what? You've got 72.
Which is the level we're supposed to be on now, right?
So yeah, the full cycle.
Ah.
And that's just adding across, so it fits into there perfectly. So then when you go down the page, you see as you go down to where the stone of destiny is, yeah, all that is symbolic. There we go. A stone when you build a structure or anything, you've got a foundation stone and you've got a keystone which holds it all together.
So this then relates to why the Freemasons, the Masons, and all of that, why their knowledge is, and this must relate to Solomon's temple and
everything,
all of that stuff, right?
And then we got
the Templars were obsessed with rebuilding Solomon's temple, and if you look at the the headquarters of the EU paedophile ring, in Brussels, that building is based upon the Tower of Babel,
right?
Yeah, so
I didn't know that, but you see how it fits into the format of the universe.
That's what I'm saying. This is I've always wondered exactly, why all this architecture was so important.
Yeah, it all fits into this. You see, it all fits into that. So
how does that? Let's say, for example, right? So how old is that chair for a start?
I think it's a 13th. Well, apparently it's 13th century or something, the 12th or 13th century.
So 700 years ago, whoever built this chair knew what this stuff.
Yeah, knew this shit.
So what would you say they were one of us, or who were they?
I would say we've built it and put people in there.
Okay.
Yeah. This is where we stepped out. This is where I think we stepped out of the royal bit so we can live life.
I see. So this has all been. This is why this kind of information. I mean, what you're coming out with is a kind of what we're doing here is a kind of layman's version of the secret knowledge inside the mystery schools and the secret societies.
Yeah.
But it's not a layman's version, it's the creator's version.
Exactly. And the thing is, if you're the creator of something, like a story or anything else, you control that story and you control everything in it. Yeah.
You can change it.
You can change it. So we can go in and change functions, we can change this, we can change that, because it's our fucking story. That's where the word his story comes from.
Yeah. I rewrote that the other day to be our story instead of his story. But
well, his story is because as I've been doing this, all I'm doing, I'm like a narrator. I talk the sequences of the sequences, because once upon a time, Abracadabra was an energy. Yeah, it creates everything and everything within it. Yeah. The only thing it was lacking was a frequency to create a solid matter. Yeah. So by creating a story, which is like evolution, everything else to this particular point, Yeah, we've actually created now a species from an energy guy which was us. Yeah, that was us in our old stories and how we used to do it. So, but what we've done now is by creating a chain of events right from evolution to where we are now, we've created a brand new solid one of ourselves. Yeah, using the word of the English, and the English word is like almost like we've created England, we've created this, we've created the word, we've created absolutely everything to control the actual English and the abracadabra of the energy to create everything in the future. So now when I talk to the energies, I can command by voice, because now it's got a vibration frequency to create the solid matter.
That's interesting, because in the Bible it says in the beginning was the word.
The word, yeah, word up.
And I've said that to people. So the word is just vibrational frequency.
It's vibrational frequency, but everything's had to be created this time, because the way I see it and what we've been messing around with or building, the new universe is a brand new one. It's never been built before, and the amount of permutations and sequences to actually get it to work to how it works is unbelievable. Like when you said the other week, what's it look like? Oh well, I don't really know, because it's there. It's like whatever is around you isn't real. The real is there. It's just we've got this picture at the minute, line over the top of. We've got one parallel, and we've got the proper one lying sort of like behind this one.
So is that what you've just described is the Great Awakening?
Behind the scenes, yeah.
And what you just described is the Great Awakening and Ascension.
An ascension, yeah. Because
so this one that's been built, we're not quite in it yet, because we've got this other old one overlaid, even though we're at the right level.
It's got to drop off.
It's going to drop off.
Yeah, that's why all the old 24s have been dropped off.
So I mean, how does that? So somebody listening to this that maybe has a level of knowledge and is thinking about the solar flare on the 21st of December and the 20, I think it was the 22nd of March next year. How does that fit in with this?
Well, you see, you got the 22nd, you see, so you got another 22. Yeah.
Well, I also found interesting, isn't it? I mean, 22nd of March is 322.
Yeah, and the 22nd of March as well is Mother's Day, right? There's another. So Mother's Day, I think, is on the 22nd of March. And if you go through full term of a pregnancy, it takes you to the 25th of December, which is Christmas Day, which is the birthday.
From the 22nd of March.
Yeah, if you go from Mother's Day, which is the 22nd of March, full term of a cycle of birth, comes up to Christmas Day, the 25th, which is twos again.
Oh, I love this.
What? Sorry,
I love this.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? So, like, as I say, relevant to and from, even to and even from, it's all the same. You know what I mean? It's like, and then Easter, yeah, depends on the full moon. So it's 2 weeks one way or 2 weeks another. Yeah, so everything's there, all lines up to the 22s and everything else, and that's the 22nd. You know what I mean? So the 21st to 22nd, you've got the longest and shortest day between the 21st and the 22nd. You know what I mean? The balance. So yeah, so when you actually start putting it in, you can see that everything goes into this clock and abracadabra, because the sequence have always been linked together. And by me sharing the knowledge of what we know, which we've been doing through the energy and everything else, but it makes it magical to everybody that needs to be magical.
Yeah. So anybody, so most of the people watching this are probably getting this as a magical thing, right? But for anybody in 3D who's listening to this, what does it look like? Because I found out about 5D, I think about 10 years ago, and I spent quite a few years thinking, what does it mean? Does it mean we die? What is it?
The thing is, we spoke about this a long time ago. You don't have to die to have an afterlife. So if you thought a certain way, like we all did, say yesterday, and now we're looking at something completely different today, that was life then. This is life now. This is after that life. So I've already moved forward.
Yeah. So we're coming up to the end of the time on this episode, but would you say, how are you feeling as 3D human beings about what's going to happen after all of this stuff's over?
I really do think we have woke people up, we have juiced them up. The actual thing, which I never thought we would do, with the juice and the energies and changing the energies over. I don't know how many of us are actually here.
As in the original builders?
The original one, but it's also been part of creating a lot more of us out of the same sort of blend. So like, you could look at, say, us two as a blend of 100% of everybody that's out there. So what we're doing is going transfer into everybody where everybody is, because we're all blends of each other. So as in one parallel opening and one closing, yeah, it's just literally a story, and that story ends and this story starts. Who goes through, it depends on who you are and if you're magical or non-magical. And because it isn't real, everything around us isn't real. We can go and we can change it, and it all fragmentates, and we can do other things with it. And we have seen a clip. We did go to one place, and we used to call it Planet Perfecto. We were standing there talking about something. Next thing you know, boom, we're standing on this planet, beautiful, all green, massive sort of plants and everything else, beautiful. And then there's a guy there's a chubby guy there with glasses, and we all stood sort of like look facing each other, but nobody was talking. I was like, wow, where is this place? And then I thought, what the fuck? Next thing you know, bang, we're back in the room. And I went, you've seen that? And there's a few people went, yeah. And I went, fucking hell, we was actually there. And it was Planet Perfecto. And it was like, so I have seen that. Yeah. And that's what I think is sitting behind this figment of this parallel, because this parallel is what we put in here. So if you can imagine, there's Planet Perfecto. That's what we're aiming for. And then what you do from the point in and the point out. So we always step in and step out on the same point of a box. Yeah, so we never move anywhere. Yeah. And then basically you create the story, which creates the history, which then we step in on point to resolve everything, and then we step back out again. And that's why everything around is opening up, and everything. We're on point, and the rest of it is a story. Yeah. All our history is a story to get us to this particular point, because this is the point we started from. So there's Planet Perfecto, yeah, and that's controlled by the positive expanding future, yeah, pulling us in that direction. That then calculates, yeah, this point where we are. Then that calculates all the way back to the start of time, all the way through
to get us on point.
To get us on point where we are now.
Wow,
that's the way it works. And to move forward, so the last time we was sort of like kings, queens, and everything else, it was Egypt. That was the last time. That was the last time we did what we did as who we were. Yeah, and then this time it's been created differently to do this differently, because the new universe is completely different. We don't have to keep going from box to box.
Wow,
that's basically it, really. In
a
nutshell.
What was that?
And that's why none of us ever think we're at home. Never think we've actually got home yet, because we've not. You know, while we all feel isolated because we've been on different parallels. So the other weekend was all scattered. So as we was going across the parallels, we collected everybody on the way and put everybody onto the same parallel. So we're all now on the same parallel.
It does feel that way. And, you know, another thing that I've noticed on social media is people saying, oh, just friends of mine just disappeared.
Yeah. Have you noticed that when you're going about, the place feels empty?
It does.
And you think, where is everybody? Yeah. And I'm thinking, well, maybe I thought, well, because don't forget, everything in here belongs to us. It's all codes and permutations. Yeah. So all these big tech people, they all belong to us. It's all in our universe. It's all a code. So when you see these things being knocked down, is that a permutation of people disappearing? And then we go onto our own format, yeah, off that social sort of media, and create our own format, because it's a different format for us to move forward. It's like, you know, it's like you have all these protests in London, right?
Today, yeah.
Yeah, but like, it's where all the football crowd, they love a sing song. Yeah, so all these thousands and thousands of football crowds, yeah, you think yourself, do you know what? We're going to go to that and have a sing song. Yeah, you can't tell me all these hardened footballers are scared of a bit of COVID and don't want to go out the house. So, and then you think, you've got all these restaurants and cafes closing down. Is it because it's just a format of these things are actually finished with, finish. And it's like dynasties, yeah. All dynasties always end up with a big blood scene, don't they? So every family, yeah, it's a dynasty, because it's always like a big murder scene. So it's not the end of a dynasty. They always get murdered and killed, and it's always.
Well, this happened in Saudi Arabia a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's a dynasty. It's an end of something. It's a dynasty, not a dynasty. It's a dynasty because there's always like there's a lot of blood involved with the end of a dynasty. Yeah, because it's all words sound like and look like, but you just got to just see what they actually really mean. And you think to yourself, it does feel empty.
Well, on that bombshell, I'm going to call an end to this episode.
Yeah, why not?
Thank you both. Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I think we've still got quite a way to go.
Well, I think we've got to be.
Well, there's a few other things like your expelling letter and stuff, which I'd like next episode. That's absolutely fascinating.
Well, all this stuff is stuff that we've used to come through all the different like negative parallels and reversing all the negativity. So all of this is like a health and safety manual of what you don't do in a positive universe. Yeah. And because you know that it never happens, because previous lives of what we've had, we go in and we go out and we can't remember where we've been. So if you can't remember what you've been, something can come and bite you up the ass because you're not in knowledge of it.
Yeah. So you're saying that we're moving into a time where we do remember.
Yeah, where we do remember.
Well, that'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because it has to be, because otherwise the new universe and the new parallels, if we don't take
the same mistakes.
Yeah, if we don't take that knowledge in and we're all aware of that knowledge through the magical bit and we're all there because that's what we've done, then we're literally now all aware of what can happen. So literally that resonates to the universe like, fuck you lot, any negative, because we own all the negative, because that's what we've created, this negative universe, and used every permutation of negative you can actually think of, to create a positive.
And that all relates to Q and Project Looking Glass and all this time travel element to Trump and everything else, which is, let's dig into that in the next episode. I'm going to stop record. Thanks everybody for listening.
Why not? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Don't go away. I'm going to.
Well, we're not going anywhere.
Everybody that watching this, I hope you enjoyed it. Really, I don't want to do 5-hour episodes. We're just going to do episodic, because the other thing is, I like the fact that we're talking about this in real time as things are happening as well. So if you want the show notes, the PDF, the link is below the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video. That really helps with stuff. Thanks a lot, Lucy and Juicy. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.